What's going on YouTube? JT's Reborn here. Welcome to another edition of my DC Comic Books reviews. And for today's video, we're going to be talking about the Teen Titans Annual #1. Now, last week we talked about issue, 27, 26? I think it was 27. I don't know. One of the issues, 26, I think. And this week we're going to talk about the annual. Now, usually with annuals, the difference between them and regular issues are like additional 20 pages or so. So this one is about 40 or so pages long. It consists of kind of 3 little stories that kind of interlock with each other. The first one is obviously Damian Wayne versus Red Hood. The second one is the Teen Titans without Damian going toe-to-toe with the character of Joystick. And then there's a little epilogue that kind of ties the two storylines together. So yes, let's do what we always do. Read the issue. Betrayed by Red Hood. Actually, no, you weren't Damian. Damian hunts down Jason Todd and vows vengeance or death. Meanwhile, Djinn and the rest of the Titans battle for one of the other's closest allies, Joystick, making his DCU debut from Teen Titans Go universe. But when Control Freak learns all of Djinn's most dangerous secrets, she'll do anything to keep the Teen Titans from finding out the truth. Okay, so this is the issue I was most curious about, because if you guys remember the last week's video, I talked about hoping they would explain how Damian would come to this conclusion that Jason Todd was the one who was the other. And he comes to face with Jason Todd. They fight. He brings up no evidence. And Jason Todd's like, you have no evidence. You have no proof. What is going on here? And then he just is like, you did this. Why did you do it? Why did you do it? I'm like, he did nothing. He literally did nothing. The hell is this supposed to do? I mean, he's supposed to be this genius detective, but they make him out to be a complete idiot. And Jason Todd, let's you know what, I'm going to have to show you some panels. I'm going to have to show you, because there's some things I like per usual, and then there's things I dislike. Let's get this Mr. Miracle stuff out of the way. So yes, if it'll let me just do the browse pages. So anyways, Damian goes to face Jason Todd. They fight, and Jason just beats the ever-loving shit out of him. It's pretty graphic. Oh, no, by the way, this little box thing, we never find out what it is. So, I don't know what the point of this thing was. Hopefully we find out at some point. But yeah, so Damian goes toe-to-toe with Jason Todd, thinking that he's the one behind, the other and all that. And he's really not. And Jason Todd proceeds to beat the ever-loving shit out of him. Wow. I mean, Jason is basically becoming Bruce Wayne from that Red Hood issue, 25 or something. And I'm just sitting here thinking, okay, Jason. Jason Todd used to have, this kind of code against, attacking kids. I can understand because Damian, attacks him first. But I don't understand why he's going to this extreme. He just brutalizes a kid. And then we get this great thing right here. Let's take a look. I'm not worried about the other, blah, blah, blah. And then we get this. I'll put you all on the ground. So yes, Jason Todd has vowed that he will go ahead and, if Damian's Titans go anywhere near him, he's going to kill all of them. So yes, Jason Todd has regressed from, once again, Damian has regressed, and so on and so forth. Then we also kind of see the other here. He's got a big-ass boot right here, and he's apparently keeping tabs on everyone at all times. So I have no idea who this is. Part of me thinks it would be Bane, but I don't know. Bane would kind of just be like, I'm Bane. Why do I need, this little thing right here? Or maybe a Vandal Savage. Those are my two guesses, or it's somebody new entirely. But another issue I have with this issue is kind of the first line of the book, actually. He's like, if you look at this, I'm an only child. This is from Damian's point of view. Sort of. My father collects lost children. They all seem strangely fascinated with me, but I tolerate them. That's a load of horseshit right there. Because if you guys actually, follow the other comics, there's someone that Damian does care about. And that's his brother, Dick Grayson. You know, Jason Todd and Tim Drake, they've always kind of had their issues, but I always felt deep down they had each other's backs. But no. Even when Dick Grayson came back in that little Grayson miniseries where he was a spiral agent, first thing he does, runs and hugs his brother, because he cares about his brother. But he doesn't mention this at all. It's like he doesn't even care. Did they even read the previous run? I mean, come on, guys. He cares about his brothers. I mean, what are you doing? Yeah, it just, this whole beginning thing right here, it just feels like Jason's taking it a bit too far. Damian's, his intelligence is being undermined because he's supposed to be this really smart person, but he's not thinking clearly at all. And I guess that's kind of the point that they're going with, that he kind of needs to be humbled. And even then they kind of reference how he's just he kind of realizes that what he's doing isn't right, but his pride won't allow him to, you know, call for help. Maybe talk to his dad, who he's not speaking to at this point in the time. I mean, obviously, Detective Comics is pretty much set after this, so he does in fact go talk to his father at some point. But he literally has nobody. I mean, he has his teammates, but he doesn't bring them in on stuff. His best friend John is off. You know what? The less we say about that, the better. And Jason Todd, who was like kind of starting to become his ally, Damian just comes and just beats the shit out of stabs him, and then like proceed to fight. But Jason Todd kicks the crap out of him, like, and brutally and violently. It's just one of those things. It kind of bums me out. I do seem kind of less enthusiastic than usual. That's because I'm kind of battling a little something. But anyway, so that's the first part of the story line. Is just I don't like how it undermines his intelligence, and I don't like the fact that it disregards that he actually does care about his brothers, particularly Dick Grayson, based on the way that this is being told, because it's being told from his narrative perspective, like he's narrating over the issue. It's like he never cared at all, which is a load of horseshit if you read some of the other comic books. So I don't like what they're doing with Damian right now in terms of this. Like, they're going so far edgelord, and it feels like they're going in the wrong direction. Jason Todd too. You would think after Bruce beat the shit out of him in that Red Hood issue that he would just, kind of stop, but I guess not. So that pretty much wraps up the first story arc. And then in terms of the second story arcs, I actually kind of liked it. It's just really the Teen Titans. It's called Joy to the World, and this is one where that joystick dude comes into play. And I kind of like this one because we get to see the team. We see Emiko is basically the den mother, which is kind of funny. So her and Damian are basically the mom and dad of the team. She just doesn't understand how these kids can't, clean up after themselves, or particularly Kid Flash. And by the way, are they drinking something right there? Looks like they're drinking underage stuff. But yeah, they apparently don't clean up after their mess or anything whatsoever. And I don't know why Emiko's not even talking to Ollie or that. I don't know. Maybe I have to go read some more Green Arrow, but I haven't really seen her speak with him in a long time. Kind of surprised that's not being acknowledged. But they're coming up to Green Arrow 50, and I think that's supposed to be the end. I think that we're going to see some restructuring about, like, May. Simply because that's kind of when No Justice happened last year, and that's kind of when the whole universe as a whole just kind of broke down. I know in April a lot of titles are getting canceled, but once we learn about the May solicitations, that's when we know what's going to go on. Because it feels like things are just kind of just off into limbo. Doomsday Clock is taking way too long to get done, and I really just don't know what's going on anymore. But anyways, this little segment right here where they're going in and facing off against Joystick, I actually kind of like. We see that the team is actually growing together better. Emiko is just like, well, they're actually, working together. We also see that she's kind of impressed that, Kid Flash is improving. Crush, she's like, she needs a bit of work, but she's doing better. Roundhouse, well, she considers him an idiot, and she still doesn't trust Djinn. In fact, they do bring up that moment where she had that nightmare about him earlier on. I forget what issue it was, but she's like, Damian thinks I'm paranoid after I had that nightmare about Djinn. Maybe I am. Actually, we didn't. I wish we would have actually seen this conversation with the two of them talking, but everything between her and him apparently happens off screen where they come to these conclusions. I mean, why would we want to see that? I don't know. It's just one of those things. But yeah, so they go ahead and they face off against this joystick dude, and I actually kind of like it. The team's kind of working together. Damian's not involved with it at all. We do find out that Djinn is really psychotic, kind of on the inside, which they kind of already hinted at. Because Joystick, and that was just like, when he controls her, we do find out some things that we never knew, or things that we kind of already knew. Something that's kind of brought up later on. Let me see if I can find the moment right there. Oh yeah, it should be right here. But yeah, so, well, it's kind of brought up later on. Shoot, why can't I find it? It's with Crush and her. Alright, here it is. So but she can't stop thinking about this Robin kid. So yes, Crush is very concerned for Djinn, because if you read, what was it, issue 25, they go on their little Bonnie and Clyde road trip, where, Crush obviously has a thing for her, because Crush is an obvious lesbian. Which, if they want to hook up, that's fine. More power to you. And then, but obviously there's like, oh, she really likes you, Crush, but man, she cannot stop thinking about this Robin kid. And he's just doing that just to kind of rub in. and that's kind of what villains do. But that's kind of brought up later on at the end of the issue. I don't know what they're doing anymore. It's like they try and set up this love triangle or this one. It's more like a love square or a rectangle, because you got Djinn and Crush, and you got Damian and Djinn and Damian and Red Arrow. It's just, more teen nonsense. Like, I'd rather just have a more interesting story than some of this teen romance stuff. If I wanted that, I could watch the CW. But we'll see kind of where it ends up. But yeah, we do find out that she is really kind of psychotic a bit, which is kind of funny. Or not necessarily funny, but, kind of what I was expecting. She like covers his mouth like, listen, you tell anybody about my dark past, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Which I'm like, oh shit, well, Red Arrow's kind of right here. And then the final bit of the issue is Damian kind of arrives back home. The epilogue, Djinn just happens to be there at this point in time, and she's just like, don't worry, I got you. Now, if you look closely right here, so Robin is pretty much being helped up, and then she helps him, and then Crush was apparently sitting in this car the whole time. How Djinn did not notice, or how Crush didn't really say anything this whole time, is beyond me. But I feel like the only reason that they included that moment was just so they can have some more teen drama kind of like forcibly added to it, because Damian's just in a lot of pain. She's definitely going to try and help him. And she's like, oh, I just happened to walk in on this exact moment. Why she's rocking out in this car, I have no clue. And she just gets really angry by the fact that Djinn kind of likes someone else. I don't know. It just feels like a kind of a dumb, contrived reason. Like, it had to be at that exact moment in time. The only reason this is added in there is just to add some extra tension, which, some people like it, and it feels definitely CW-esque, but it doesn't really bother me all too much. But overall, this annual, I do think it's better than last week's issue. Like, last week's issue was just kind of one of the, probably the weakest of the run, but I feel like it undermines Damian's intelligence. It kind of takes away from the fact that he does care about his brothers. And then you have some, like, the middle section's the best part, where it's actually them just kind of being teens and kind of joking around and having fun, which is what I feel like the book needs. It actually, felt Teen Titans-esque, which is what I feel like the book has been kind of missing for a while. So I was glad that that portion was added in there. In terms of the artwork, I think the artwork is still nice as always, and it's just, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on some aspects of it. Some of it I do like, some of it I dislike. The fight between Jason and Damian, I feel like is kind of unnecessary. Like, we've already gotten like enough Bat Family drama like this. I'm like, can't they just get along at this point? I feel like every single relationship is falling apart, and then they're just DC is emphasizing this overly depressing tone that they're going forward. Since I feel like since post Justice League No Justice that they've been going through since last year. But yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. The artwork is nice. There is some good panels and action work going on with the coloring and stuff. So like visually, it looks great. Story wise, the annual I don't like what they were doing with Jason Todd and Damian. Jason Todd is not someone who goes out of his way to assault kids, and he just beats the living shit out of them, which makes me wonder, like, you would think Jason of all people would just, I can understand, fighting back in a self-defense way, but when Damian's kind of down and out, him just going out of his way to, like, beat the shit out of him relentlessly, just felt like he was taking it a bit too far for me. And I know this is coming from Red Hood, who, was kind of going in a better direction, I felt like, in the start of Rebirth, with him kind of being the anti-hero, but, like, not full-blown solo murderer. It just felt like the wrong direction again. It felt like he was starting to make some progress, and then he's like, just going off the deep end again. But then again, I understand Damian, instigated it, but it just feels off to me. What I'm hoping for is that we finally, like I said in last week's video, kind of move past this point where Damian's just like, the biggest issue Damian has is his pride, which is just like the character Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. He could always ask for help, but he doesn't do it because his fucking pride won't let him. So what I'm hopeful for this is we move past, Damian in like this level of darkness, moving more towards the light, understanding the true meaning of justice, understanding that it's okay to ask for help if you're lost, just kind of going the extra mile to doing the right thing. That's my hope for this arc. It seems like that's what they've been kind of setting up. It does seem like that beatdown from Jason Todd humbled him a bit, which is, the beatdown was, a bit much, because I'm like, it's just like, come on, guys. We've seen some of this shit before. But it may have humbled him a bit and made him kind of like understand his place. Like, look, you're kind of like all over the place, lost a bit right now, kid. You kind of got to sort your things out, which is what I hope happens. So, but that's going to wrap it up for this issue. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe. I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you very much. I'm losing my voice right now. Take care now. Bye-bye then.